Have you ever had to rip and replace hardware or maybe change the instance type in the public cloud? Well, Nutanix Cloud Cluster has an easy way to do it with our support of heterogeneous clusters. You can take your existing NC2 cluster and then simply add a newer instance type that is supported into your cluster. Once they're fully provisioned, you can then remove the existing type and then you're fully upgraded using the newest and latest hardware. Let's take a look at this right now. We've already deployed a 3-node i3 metal cluster, and we want to show how heterogeneous cluster support can be used to migrate to a newer bare metal type. So we have the cluster, we have the 3 nodes. If we take a look at the running cluster, we see that we have some workloads running on it. Go to VMs. We have about 11 VMs that are currently running on the cluster itself. So we'll go to hardware. We see the 3 AWS nodes. Now we can go and add 3 additional i4 nodes into our cluster so we can move to a newer generation without affecting our workload. Summary, go to update capacity, add host type, i4. Now we'll hit save. So we've sent the request to our NC2 portal, which will work with the AWS to provision the hardware. So we already have the nodes being added to our cluster. We can go take a look at the running workloads. So here on our cluster, we have this Nutanix mobility server. If we take a look at the console, see that it's up and running. And if we go back to our portal page, once these are provisioned, we'll be able to remove the older i3 metal out of the cluster. We'll be able to see these in Prism as soon as they're all up and running. Looks like they've been completely added. Now we see that the 6 hosts are showing below i3 and i4. If we go to the hardware tab, we can see everything listed. You can tell by the different storage sizes which nodes are which, and then by clicking on any of the nodes, you can scroll down and see the instance type for the given selection. Now, if we go and take a look at our virtual machine that's running, it's running fine currently. So now as we remove nodes, we want to ensure that nothing happens to that virtual machine, and we'll see it change hosts as well. So we can go to the summary tab, and then now we can remove the nodes out of the cluster. So we'll remove those i3 metals altogether. And so now the data will get moved on the remaining nodes. There are improvements in this process because of NC2. We actually mark all 3 nodes so the data can't move onto a node that's being removed. So it happens pretty fast. Obviously, the load on the cluster and how much storage is going to determine how long it's going to take for this process. So we can see the tasks in our cluster starting to kick off with the node removal and the disks associated with the node. So in the task page, you can get a further breakdown of what's going on if you want to monitor the process, but it's really hands off at this point. No user involvement. The those hosts will be placed in maintenance mode, and the VMs will move off to the healthy i4 nodes, which we'll see when we look back at our virtual machine. So progressing here, Most of the data seems to be copied off now. Some of the nodes have already been removed from AOS. It does take a bit for the agent to communicate back to the portal, but so we're down to our 3 i4 metal hosts. Now go back and look at our virtual machine, and if we look back, it says 206, which is one of the i4. It didn't reboot, everything's good. And if we, as we see here, it is on 206, which you can reconfirm from the portal itself, and 206 is i4 metal machine. And it looks like we're getting close here, and we are done. Nutanix is making day 2 operations super easy with our heterogeneous cluster support. We'll see you in the next video.